Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. I'm Tony Marino. It's the 240th day of the year, the 68th day of summer, and National Banana Lovers Day. Not to be confused with National Banana Day. That's like in April. But do we all not love a fresh, good banana? And keep the jokes to yourself. It's also National or International Lottery Day. Let me remind you, tonight's Mega Millions jackpot is up to $575 million. So if you're stopping for gas, bananas, or anything else, you may want to grab a couple of Mega Millions tickets. $575 million. That's more than $500 million. In the headlines, billionaire Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook and Instagram, now known as Meta, admitting in a letter to the House Judiciary Chair Jim Jordan, I didn't even intend for that to rhyme, Meta admitted in a letter that his company was pressured by the Biden-Harris administration to censor Americans, especially when it came to COVID-19 content, saying, I believe the government pressure was wrong, and I regret that we were not more outspoken about it. Zuckerberg handed over thousands of documents when he and other tech CEOs testified on Capitol Hill last year during an investigation. Now he says he'll make a dozen employees available for transcribed interviews. Could Zuckerberg really be coming around? Do you remember President Trump said that Mark Zuckerberg had actually called him? My guess would be that we will likely see Chairman Jim Jordan on Newsmax today. Meanwhile, Vice President Harris, who is clearly trying to distance herself from the Biden-Harris administration, even though she's still the acting VP, is now on a bus tour with her running mate, Governor Tim Walz, while the acting president, or president in name, Joseph R. Biden, sits on the beach. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's totally checked out now. The border is wide open. Gas and food still way too expensive. Two wars are continuing that are costing the United States tens of billions of dollars, and Joe is on the beach like some kind of retiree. By the way, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan is in Beijing for 3 days of meetings there. But this is the fifth day in a row now that the press has been closed off to the president. The same thing happened several weeks ago and several weeks before that. Former President Donald Trump gladly spoke with the media in Joe's absence yesterday.
I think we're going to do a great job. Who are you with?
NBC, but the full thing.
NBC?
Oh my heavens!
NBC fake news.
Fake news.
Tell me, have you done a story on Afghanistan today? Have you done that story, NBC? You know, the press never talks about Afghanistan, the most embarrassing moment in history. No, but have you done the story? Today is the third anniversary of Afghanistan. Do you know that?
You have one more question.
No. You know that? That's she doesn't want to take that. Okay, ready? Today is the third anniversary. I just left Arlington National Cemetery. Do you know that?
Yep.
We buried people. We honored people in Arlington, and the press doesn't even cover it because they're fake news, and they should be ashamed of themselves. That's the question you should be asking, not little trivia. I just want to thank you, everybody, very much. Don't worry, you'll never see that on television.
Former President Donald Trump attended a wreath-laying ceremony at Arlington National Cemetery, paying respects to the 13 U.S. service members killed in Afghanistan 3 years ago, before going on to speak at a National Guard event in Michigan, which I'll get to in a moment. First, Trump 2024 spokesperson Karoline Levitt spoke about Donald Trump's commitment to service members on National Report.
It brings you back to when he was president, and you remember where at least what appears to be his heart is with military veterans. Can you speak to that?
Yes. Well, what you're watching, again, is what a real commander-in-chief looks like, a true president looks like. While President Trump is honoring the lives of the 13 brave soldiers who lost their lives because of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's incompetence, Joe Biden is at the beach in Delaware today, and Kamala Harris has nothing on her schedule. And while I'm sure she's probably behind closed doors focusing on her campaign, she should remember that she is still Vice President of the United States. And she is the reason, she and Joe Biden are the reason that these 13 brave soldiers are no longer with us. And our question to the American people is, how many more soldiers have to die? How many more young men and women in this country have to be robbed of their lives and their futures because of Joe Biden's and Kamala Harris's terrible policies, whether it's their weak foreign policy that has led to war and chaos on the world stage, whether it's their lack of security at our southern border. Kamala Harris, as border czar, has opened our country to an invasion of criminals and terrorists from all over the world that have taken the lives of innocent American women and children. In fact, last week, President Trump traveled to the border, another place that Kamala Harris refuses to go, to speak with the victims, the loved ones who lost their lives because of illegal migrants that have entered our country on Kamala Harris's watch. President Trump will always give a voice to those who have lost their lives in this country, especially our military who have given their lives in defense of this country, while Kamala Harris refuses to say their names, and even worse, refuses to take action to correct the terrible policies that have led to their death and loss of life.
Karoline, we do have to go, but I can't let you go without asking about the debate. It's making a lot of headlines. Is Trump planning on attending the ABC News debate September 10th? I know that there was some talk about being upset with the rules of it and maybe how ABC News conducted a recent interview with Senator Tom Cotton. Can you give us any insight? Will we see Trump debate Kamala Harris on ABC News?
Let's set the record straight on this. President Trump and our campaign committed to the ABC debate with the rules that were originally proposed, the same exact rules as the CNN debate where he competed and dominated Joe Biden. Kamala Harris's camp agreed to those rules as well. Now, all of a sudden, the Kamala Harris campaign is backpedaling. They are demanding new rules. They want it to be a seated debate. They want her to have notes on the debate stage. They want her to have an opening statement. It's probably because they've started their debate prep and her campaign team is realizing that she is not equipped to debate President Trump. If she can't debate President Trump with a simple set of rules, then she is certainly not fit to be commander-in-chief. It was her campaign spokesperson, Michael Tyler, who said the debate about debates is over. Well, now they're back to debating about debates. We are done. We have committed to the rules set by ABC, and Kamala Harris needs to be on that stage. We will see if she shows up.
Karoline Levitt makes a very, very valid point. Well, several valid points, but the one that really jumped out at me there because I remember saying it verbatim last week. The vice president's team said they will have 3 debates, 2 presidential debates, 1 vice presidential debate, and, quote, the debate about the debates is over. If you do a search for it, you'll find 100 stories that say the debate about the debate is over. Now they want to change the rules. If President Biden was able to stand, certainly Kamala Harris could stand. You remember at one point they were talking about having Biden sit down, but then he decided that he would stand. So Kamala certainly could stand. And she wants to bring notes. Who's ever heard of that in a debate? They changed the rules of the first debate, including the muting of the microphones, then changed the candidate, had a sham nominating process, said the debate about the debates is over, and now want to change the rules again, including the microphones, and then run around telling everybody that Donald Trump doesn't want to debate. And of course, that's what's all over the headlines today. Trump senior campaign advisor Jason Miller spoke about it on Newsline with Bianca De La Garza.
Jason, good to see you.
Bianca, good afternoon.
I want to clear up some of the information that's being tossed out about this muted microphone situation. You heard it right there from the Harris campaign. They're saying Trump can't control himself. Weren't the rules already set that this would be the same as Biden, and now they're just trying to change it up?
Yeah, and Bianca, we know President Trump is fearless. He's out there debating and taking tough questions every single day. He's done the big press conferences. He's done the big sit downs. And it's now 36 days in, and Kamala Harris has not done a single interview or press conference. But let's just back up real quick here on the debate. So the Democrats wrote the rules for the CNN debate, and we saw what happened. President Trump knocked out Joe Biden. And then the Democrats wanted the exact same rules, the CNN rules, to be applied to the ABC debate. Both camps accepted. And then now, and I think this is probably just a shameless attempt, either A, to try to clutter the news today because it's the 3rd anniversary of the botched Afghanistan withdrawal, or I think Kamala Harris might be looking for an off-ramp. But here's the thing. President Trump is fearless. He said just a few moments ago that he would be open to doing it with open mics. But the issue is the rules were agreed to, and now they want to change them. And when you look at ABC, they're just such a biased network. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see insofar as the microphones, but we'll see as far as Donald Trump showing up, because they're trying to say that he's trying to find a way out. And you're saying absolutely that is not the case.
No, I think Kamala Harris is trying to find a way out. I think that's what the reality of the situation is. And because, Bianca, here's an important thing. They've started their debate prep already, and I think they're probably looking at the answers that she's giving and realizing that she's not ready to go toe-to-toe with President Trump. She can't stand on that debate stage and answer something as basic as, why did you let 20 million illegals into the country? What have you done that actually deserves a promotion to the next level? So, anyways, I think Kamala Harris is looking for an off-ramp.
Trump senior advisor Jason Miller on Newsline. Even Joe Biden, who laid as low as he could possibly lay for most of the 2020 race, willingly and aggressively debated. Jason said maybe they're trying to clutter up the news on the anniversary of the Afghanistan debacle, or maybe they were trying to clutter the news as another former Democrat endorsed Donald Trump. This happened during the National Guard event that I mentioned in Michigan. This is a little long, but I really think it's a must-hear. The whole event was carried live on Newsmax, but if you missed it, it's a must-hear.
We're uniting forces to end the endless foreign wars, stop the censorship, end weaponization of our government, defend our borders, rebuild our middle class, protect the health of our children, and above all, to restore our republic and vanquish the corruption that's all over Washington, D.C. right now. 3 days ago, I was honored to receive the endorsement of Robert F. Kennedy, Jr. We're very proud. Thank you. We're very proud to welcome Bobby to our cause. He's really a terrific guy. He's a terrific person, and he's going to do a lot of great things. I have no doubt about it. He's got some very good ideas, some ideas that people weren't listening to. It's turned out to be right. And today I'm honored to officially welcome another true American patriot, a 17-year veteran of the Hawaii Army National Guard, a 4-term Democrat congresswoman, very, very popular, the former vice chair of the National Democratic Party and a 2020 Democrat candidate for the United States presidency. You know, she was a very good candidate. Every time she ran, she was good. She did well. She decided to leave. She couldn't take it anymore, but she is very special. And I didn't know this, but she was a lieutenant colonel. That's not bad. Lieutenant colonel. Not bad. I didn't know that. You know, I just found out. I said, put it down. You got to put that down. That's bigger. That's better than all the other stuff I read. But no, she's a special person. She's got great common sense, great spirit. She loves our country, and she loves the people in this room. Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Aloha. I know we got Hawaii in the house here. There we go. It is a privilege to be here with all of you, my brothers and sisters in uniform, especially on this day of all days. I had the privilege of joining President Trump this morning at Arlington Cemetery, where he joined 2 Gold Star families and loved ones of Staff Sergeant Hoover and Sergeant G, both of whom were 2 of the 13 killed in the Abbey Gate attack 3 years ago today in Kabul. And I can tell you, as we were there, as he laid a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, joining these Marines' loved ones, I felt the sorrow that he shared with them in their loss. I felt and saw his sincere appreciation for these servicemen and women who paid the ultimate price and their loved ones who continue to grieve to this day. This is personal for me, as I know it is for so many of you here. This is real. It's not just words. I first deployed to Iraq in 2005 with the Hawaii Army National Guard as a member of Charlie Med. As those of you who were deployed during that time know, it was the height of the war, and sadly, we took many casualties. And every day we were confronted with that high human cost of war and that sadness as we boarded the plane when we left, that we were leaving some of our brothers and sisters behind, only to lose others when we got home to suicide. So I mean what I say when I share with you that I know that President Trump understands the grave responsibility that a president and commander-in-chief bears for every single one of our lives. Whether you're a soldier, you're an airman, a Marine, sailor, or a coastie, he keeps us in his heart in the decisions that he makes. We saw this through his first term in the presidency, when he not only didn't start any new wars, he took action to de-escalate and prevent wars. He exercised the courage that we expect from our commander-in-chief in exhausting all measures of diplomacy, having the courage to meet with adversaries, dictators, allies, and partners alike in the pursuit of peace, seeing war as a last resort. The truth is, as we head towards our decision as a country in November, the same cannot be said about Kamala Harris. In fact, the opposite is true, and we're living through this reality today as this administration has us facing multiple wars on multiple fronts and regions around the world, and closer to the brink of nuclear war than we ever have been before. This is one of the main reasons why I'm committed to doing all that I can to send President Trump back to the White House, where he can once again serve us as our commander-in-chief.
Powerful statement from Tulsi Gabbard, having the courage to meet with adversaries, dictators, and partners, which, of course, Trump was highly criticized for in the mainstream media.
I am proud to stand here before you today, whether you're a Democrat, a Republican, or an independent. If you love our country, as I do, if you cherish peace and freedom as we do, I invite you to join me in doing all that we can to save our country and elect President Donald J. Trump and send him back to the White House to do the tough work of saving our country and serving the people. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
Former Democrat Tulsi Gabbard, an amazing patriot who served 2 tours of duty in the Middle East. Less than 5 years ago, she was running to be the Democratic presidential nominee. She is the one who essentially ended Kamala Harris's short-lived 2020 presidential campaign. You've probably seen that all over social media. And I wouldn't be doing my journalistic duty if I didn't mention that during that campaign, Tulsi Gabbard also railed against then President Donald Trump, calling him, among other things, dangerous and unfit for office. That is why I always say nothing is out of the question in politics. Times change, circumstances change, people's views change. Remember when Tulsi Gabbard defected from the Democrats after endorsing Biden in 2020? She said the Democratic Party was dominated by an elitist cabal of warmongers and a woke ideology. Someone who totally agrees with Tulsi Gabbard's comments, Arizona Senate nominee Kari Lake spoke with our Chris Salcedo about the Democrats' vice presidential nominee, Tim Walz.
Is Republican Senate nominee for Arizona, Kari Lake. Good to see you, lady. You and I both made our living under the First Amendment back when we were both doing news. that only protects, free speech, the First Amendment, but also the freedom of the press. And here comes Tim Awals, says there's no, quote, guarantee to free speech. He's from the same party that denied a choice in the primary and then denied their own voters a voice in Kamala's coronation. Isn't it the Democrat Party that represents the biggest threat to our republic, our freedoms, and democratic principles?
Absolutely. They've become the tyrants our founding fathers warned us about. Maybe somebody needs to remind Tim Pon about the First Amendment and maybe show him the Constitution. And yes, I was a trained journalist, a fair and honest journalist for 30 years. And so it's really shocking to me to see so many people in the news media who seem to be okay with this, who aren't fighting back, who aren't pushing back. I mean, we just saw here in the story is breaking right now in Maricopa County in the town of Surprise, where a woman was criticizing the mayor of the town, was detained and pulled out of the meeting by a police officer. In Maricopa County at the Board of Supervisors meetings, they're no longer allowing public comment because these elected officials don't want to be criticized. Now, we should see the media stepping up and covering this ad nauseum and saying this is outrageous. These are elected officials. We should be able to criticize them. It's our duty to criticize them when they do something wrong. But the media has gone radio silent. All you hear are crickets from them.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, a Washington Post reporter a couple of weeks ago suggested that the government could do something to suppress free speech of President Trump and Elon Musk. It was crazy. Kari, today marks 3 years since Joe Biden and Kamala Harris teamed up to deliver the worst foreign policy defeat for the United States in the modern era, the catastrophic withdrawal from Afghanistan. Earlier this morning, Trump visited Arlington National Cemetery, honoring the lives of the 13 service members who died in the Kabul airport bombing. Meanwhile, Harris has nothing on her schedule, and she was a no-show. And Joe Biden on yet another vacation. Other than our common humanity, and even that's in question at times considering Democrats' actions, I find little in common with these people. How about you?
I agree with you 100%. I mean, I just got a lump in my throat looking at that video of President Trump, a true leader. Our commander-in-chief should be honoring the lives of these men and women. And, I guess I understand why Joe Biden's not there. He caused their death. His recklessness, his disastrous foreign policy caused the deaths of these young men and women, these heroic men and women that you're seeing on the screen. And he didn't even have the courage to say their names. I remember him looking at his watch as caskets were rolling by him. It's just despicable. And this is why the people are going to reject Kamala Harris. They're going to reject her at the ballot box. And this is why the fake news media, truly the enemy of the people, are out there trying to roll out an extreme makeover on the most unpopular person to ever enter politics, Kamala Harris. They're trying to now all of a sudden turn her into the most popular, superstar in politics, and the people can't stand her because of policies like you just mentioned that caused the deaths of some of our heroes. So it's going to be interesting going into this election. The people are really going to have to narrow down where they're getting their information and keep all of the fake news from their sites, because we got to focus on the next 2.5 months to get out there, get people registered to vote. Because the fake news media is working overtime to try to help Kamala Harris, and if we allow that to happen, we're going to end up with not only more disastrous foreign policies, disastrous domestic policies, but we will plunge into 1,000 years of darkness, as you stated earlier.
Kari Lake on the Chris Salcedo Show, 4 o'clock Eastern on Newsmax every day. Be sure to check it out, the Chris Salcedo Show. In theory, that sounds great, right? And of course, it makes plenty of sense. But the problem, as I've said before, is most Kamala Harris supporters are not going to listen to anything that Kari Lake says. And most probably won't hear the majority of Tulsi Gabbard's speech, because if MSNBC or CNN does cover it at all, they'll play a small, incriminating piece of Tulsi's amazing endorsement. Again, people are standing right in front of the forest, but cannot see the trees. Special counsel Jack Smith urged a federal appeals court yesterday to reinstate the classified documents case against former President Trump, saying that Judge Cannon's decision that dismissed the prosecution was a mistake and it must be reversed, especially after 2 Democrats came out and endorsed Trump. Well, he didn't say that. I'm saying that. There is no timeline right now on how long it's going to take for the Circuit Court of Appeals to decide, but experts say no matter what happens, there's no chance of a trial before the November presidential election. Let's wrap it all up with commentary from Rob Schmitt.
The Kamala campaign gaslighting everyone as they try to change the agreed-upon debate rules just about 2 weeks before the big show. On September 10th, Kamala is set to debate Donald Trump, but suddenly her campaign is demanding ABC keep the mics hot instead of muted when it's her turn to speak. They're trying to goad Trump into interrupting her so that she can have a big moment where she tells him to be quiet, a woman speaking. Pretty obvious, something that's happened in the past. Trump's senior advisor telling Politico, though, that's not it. That's not all. Kamala also wants to be seated. She doesn't want to stand. And she wants to have notes as well, which Joe Biden wasn't allowed to have. Trump and Biden did not have notes, obviously, so she can remember all of the focus grouped, approved policy positions that she's going to say in the debate and then completely abandon the moment she gets into power. Now, to remind everyone, ABC offered the exact same debate rules as CNN did with Biden. Trump accepted. Kamala accepted. That's how it started. Trump addressed this attempt to change the rules very late in the game earlier today. Take a look.
We agreed to the same rules. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I'd rather have it probably on. But the agreement was that it would be the same as it was last time. In that case, it was muted. I didn't like it the last time, but it worked out fine. I mean, ask Biden how it worked out. It was fine. They're trying to change it. The truth is they're trying to get out of it because she doesn't want to debate. She's not a good debater. She's not a smart person. She doesn't want to debate.
Well, that's certainly true. Dick Morris and Larry Elder join us now. Larry, the Kamala campaign is trying to spin this that Trump is scared to debate. That's all I see on my Twitter is Trump is terrified of Kamala Harris.
Well, I have never seen a debate, and I've watched many, where you're allowed to bring in notes. That's a new one for me. Yeah. But as for the mic being muted, let me tell you what's going on. They've already focus grouped this, and they've tested it, and they found out that Trump's vulnerability with women is that he's perceived to be rude and condescending. What they want for him to do is cut her off, come across as, quote, rude or condescending, or perceived as rude or condescending, so then they can continue the narrative that Trump is a sexist. So I think Trump discovered that he does not need to have a hot mic. He was able to win the debate against Joe Biden. And it's one thing to be rude to Hillary Clinton because she was not well-liked. Like it or not, Kamala Harris is loved on by the left. She is well-liked, and if Donald Trump comes across as rude to her, it'll be used against him. So I think Donald Trump recognizes that, and he wants the mics to be muted.
Yeah, and I have no doubt in my mind that she has some idea in her head that as soon as he interrupts her, she's going to have some, like, a woman is speaking or some crap like that, and it's going to be a viral moment and whatever. Right. Dick, your thoughts?
Right. Well, I think that there's a larger play going on here. I think that Kamala and the Democrats have been shortening the time for the introduction to the American people. First, they let Biden twist slowly in the wind for weeks and before they resolved the situation and got rid of him. So the campaign starts late. And then, secondly, they're working on telescoping and compressing Kamala's appearance and Kamala's exposure by having her not do interviews, not take questions, and so we're and promoting early voting. So we're going to have less Kamala at the beginning and less Kamala at the end, and we'll have to make a decision on this person being president when we've only had a couple of weeks to meet her, and by voting early, which the Democrats are pushing, we'll have even less than. We'll have no time.
Dick Morris and Larry Elder on Rob Schmitt tonight. Early voting, a big key here, big part of their strategy. Early voting, as I mentioned last week, starts in about a month, maybe less than a month, in several states. And a group of immigrant families has filed a motion against the 16 states looking to block a Biden administration policy that would allow spouses of U.S. citizens legal status without having to first leave the country. This comes as a federal judge in Texas put a pause on the program that the Biden-Harris administration had just begun taking applications for. The program would affect more than 500,000 immigrants and about 50,000 children, according to the AP. 16 states, including Texas, had challenged the policy. Again, it's a federal judge in Texas that now put it on pause. Those against the policy say, among other things, that it is a form of amnesty for those who broke the law. Wall Street opening in the red this morning. Investors getting a bunch of corporate earnings today, and tomorrow is the big one, AI giant NVIDIA after the closing bell. Analysts are expecting NVIDIA to grow revenue by something like 180% annually. That's how crazy this whole AI thing is. They expect them to nearly double revenue almost every year. You can keep up with all of the news on Newsmax, Newsmax 2, and Newsmax.com. Make sure you're streaming Newsmax Plus for the most complete lineup of all your favorite shows and expert analysis. Rob Schmitt Tonight, Greg Kelly Reports, The Record with Greta Van Susteren, Carl Higbee, Newsline with Bianca De La Garza, Chris Salcedo, Wake Up America, and much, much more. Newsmaxplus.com. Thank you, as always, for listening to the Newsmax Daily. Enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Hey, it's Jerry Callahan from The Callahan Show. You can listen to us every day. We react to the latest news, politics, sports, and all the madness in the world. I'll give you my opinion with a little edge, a little attitude. I'm an unapologetic right-winger, trapped behind enemy lines in deep blue Boston, so I'm used to taking on the mainstream media mob. You can hear us anywhere you get your podcast, or you can listen every day at newsmax.com/listen.
It's our America. We conquered it. We built it. Great values like honesty and fairness. Great courage. A great nation needs a free press. Newsmax is it. 30 million Americans regularly go to Newsmax when they really need to know. They watch Newsmax TV at home. On the free Newsmax app, they go to Newsmax.com. Start today. Newsmax is real news for real people.